All right, it's 2:02, so I think we'll get started here. And welcome to another town hall. I appreciate everybody who's joined this afternoon. One of the things we're trying to do, with this one, is put it at a time that might be more amenable for more people's schedules. The last ones were primarily in the evening. And I happen to be out at the Club Nationals in Wausau. So that's the Wausau Curling Club behind me. So I'm going to turn it over pretty quickly to the group to start asking questions. I will touch on just a few things before we get started. In case you missed the email yesterday that went out, we announced some new programs. The Athlete Outreach Initiative, which was funded by Bill Peskoff. So that's a good opportunity for clubs to bring high-level instruction into their clubs. Ice Tech Services with Sean Olson, that's also in that email. I had a little report on our merchandise that we've sold this year and will be available in a couple of weeks in our online store. That's been successful. Some instructions on how to download an actual membership card from USA Curling. A few notes on webcasts in that email. And finally, some thoughts on the governance committee and their progress, and also some thoughts on TV coverage of curling and how we'd all like to see more of it, but what some of the challenges around that might be. So with that, I'll get started. I will report before we get going that at our current count, USA Curling has 21,576 members, which is an exciting number for us. It's pretty close to maybe our highest pre-COVID. So that's exciting, and we appreciate the support of so many curlers and member clubs this season. So I'll start with that, and Brett Jackson, the USCA board chair, is also on this call. He may have to leave a touch early, but he's on now. And with that, I'll turn it over to the group for questions. I see a hand up already, so Jenna Bercheski is moderating this session, so I'll let her deal with the people who have questions, and we'll tackle them as best we can.
Dean, did you want to go straight to the questions, or did you want to hand it over to Brett first?
I think we can go right to questions, unless Brett wants to jump in and add something. Okay. I'll leave it up to him. Brett, do you have anything to add?
Questions are good.
Started? All right. Yeah, we're all in favor of questions. So it looks like Michael's first.
Hello, Dean. Hello, Jenna. Hello, everybody. Mike Hope here. Quick question. I figured you would touch upon this regarding the television or lack thereof coverage going forward. You mentioned in your newsletter about getting eyeballs on the sport going forward. And I do love what you said about you're confident that the sport will, so to speak, be a great addition to the programming of the right provider. Does that suggest that there might be any discussions with said right provider, or even one in target? Or is that more of a, hey, we're more hopeful that somebody will notice us and bring us back to television?
Well, I will say we're not going to wait and be hopeful that someone will bring us back. We are pursuing this and want to be. I don't have I'm not going to tell you we're about to announce a deal either. But we're not just going to sit back and wait and hope. There's certainly complexity to these things, and as I mentioned in my email, the sports media landscape has changed quite a bit. What I do want to stress is that we're not. We'll probably not be on NBC apart from the Olympics. So NBC has been the place where has carried some of our events in between quads, but that's unlikely to happen now, which is both disappointing but also an opportunity, I think, to find another provider who would be willing to pick it up. The reality is we have to be able to prove return on investment, right? So they're in the media business and they're going to want to imagine what kind of numbers they can get. I'm confident it would be a good product, but that takes, work to convince people of that. So just quick, I'll summarize. I'm not going to be announcing a deal in the next 2 weeks as much as I wish we were, but we're also not just hoping that somebody calls us up one day. We're doing outreach, and we will continue to pursue that.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Dean, it looks like we have a question from Ryan in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just add one quick thing?
Sure.
Dean?
Yeah.
So we are looking to to also bring people into the organization that can help us with that. I'm not going to release any details right now, but I do know the nominating committee is considering a number of folks to be independent directors who might have the ability to leverage or use their relationships to the advantage of USA Curling to leverage, potential sponsors, broadcast partners, etc. And we're really excited about the people who are interested in being part of the board and in contributing to the sport.
Yeah, it's a great point, Brett. We have some terrific candidates for independent directors, including some from organizations that align nicely with us and do bring that experience. Brian Olson asked, how's the feedback on the survey that went out recently? I think feedback's been excellent. The last number I had, it was north of 1,500 in terms of responses. I think we'll probably get close to 2,000, which is almost a 10% return rate.
Dean, we're actually
Yep.
nearing 2,000 right now. I just checked the number.
There we are. So we're nearing 2,000 right now. Thanks, Jenna. Which is about 10%, which if you ask most survey people is really good participation. Considering, it's not a short survey, it takes a bit of commitment to do it. So two things about that. I'm really glad that people are that engaged. And, I'm looking forward to the committee's take on the results and the feedback. Eli asked, how long is the survey open? I believe it's open till the 21st, but I'd have to double check that. But I think it's open till the 21st. I know Jim Windsor's on this call. He might recall it better than I can, but it was supposed to be open about 2 weeks. There's another survey in the works for club leadership as well. So the ad hoc committee wanted to take the pulse of people and get some feedback. They've already been working pretty hard on developing new membership models that will, inevitably lead to some governance changes. They're certainly starting with the membership model, but there's really no way to change the membership model without having some impact on governance. So I think it's all, anybody who thinks it's not a wide-ranging review or the scope of work is limited by our volunteer committee does not, isn't. There, Jim Windsor just says the survey's open till March 24th. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, the size and scope is big, and I appreciate the volunteers on that committee who are putting a lot of time and effort into it. Carrie Dixon, surveying club leadership. Yeah, we'll definitely survey regional leaders as well. That will be part of the group that gets that next survey. We definitely want to talk to our regional leadership. I know Brett meets regularly with them. Just met with, I think, Brett, the MCA recently. So we are actively engaged with our regional leaders. There's one person trying to get in, but it's just spinning, so I don't know why.
Yeah, I've clicked accept like 4 times. It seems to be having trouble accepting that person.
So I'm just trying to think of what other questions might be asked. Our accounting audit, we use Clifton Larson Allen as our auditor. And we submitted all the documents, the final documents for the audit towards the end of January, right before Eric Gleason left the organization. We have a new controller in place, but we expect to get that report back in the next 2 weeks, the audit from them, and we'll post it on our website once we do. Trying to think of some of the other questions. Some people have asked me this conversationally, even here at the Club Nationals, and that's in the survey we sent out. It suggests that we need $1 million to operate. I think need might be a bit of a stretch there. Obviously, we don't have $1 million in membership revenue right now, but I think the committee, as part of its work, is trying to find a model that will produce revenue that allows us to provide the resources we'd like to. I mean, obviously we can shrink or expand our services as budgets allow. So we'd like to be expanding our services. So I think $1 million as a membership revenue goal is a good one, and one that we would like our new membership model to help us get to. Michael asked, do you have an assessment impact of the smaller field and revised qualification procedures for team and mixed doubles nationals? Do you foresee these qualification procedures being the same next season? Well, last year's mixed doubles, I'll tackle that first, was a sign up and go event. So I don't, because of COVID, I don't see a sign up and go event again for our national mixed doubles. We had a 16-team field this year, and that was in consultation with the AAC, the Athletes Advisory Council, to get to that, a field of that size. And we had an 18 field for men's and women's nationals. And our opinion is that that's a good size field for both those events. It allows us to compress the events. We might, mixed doubles nationals, is 16 the right number? I'm not entirely sure, but we'll review it in the off season. We're pretty confident that 18 men's and women's nationals is a good number in terms of the field we get. And also it allows us to run the event in a more compact way, fewer 4-draw days, probably one less day in an arena. So I don't foresee that changing. We are always going to look at our qualification procedures at the end of each season. We certainly had some new ones this year, and we'll review how those happen. One thing we feel pretty good about is moving to using bonspiels and as qualifier events for junior nationals, for men's and women's. And I think that's important. I think as a national governing body, we don't want to be in the business of competing with those events. And if we run play down events, we end up, that's another weekend the teams have to devote to that. So I like building the bonspiel ecosystem and being a part of that. So short answer, I don't see the qualification procedures changing dramatically, but everything's always up for review in the offseason. Go ahead, Brett.
Hey, Dean, and what I believe we're sending out surveys to the athletes that participated in those events to seek their feedback as well.
Yeah, we do.
Is that
we
correct?
did that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. We have an event feedback form for every event, including the men's and women's and mixed doubles nationals. Ryan asked, how are the remaining national events going this season? Well, I would say we had a successful college nationals and a successful senior nationals at the Granite Club in Seattle last weekend that I was at. I think that was a good event. This week we're at the club nationals at really a terrific host. If you've never been to the Wausau Curling Club, 8-sheet facility with, I'm sure most of us, including me, are jealous of this facility when compared to our own clubs, as much as I love my home club, but this facility is extraordinary and they've done a great job. So on that, I think, I feel better about what we're doing on national championships because we want all our national championships to feel special. That said, we have a list of things we want to improve next year. So that's ongoing improvement. And that'll be part of the prep for next season. We still need some host sites. You may have seen that message go out. There's still some host sites we're looking for. Certainly some of the clubs that are hosting national championships this year are going to host them next year. Just on that, Denver, for instance, is hosting mixed fours for 3 seasons, including this one, and Rock Creek is hosting U18s through 2026. So there's advantages to having host sites for at least a few years. Makes us better partners, makes it easier for the club year to year. I should add just on that, since I'm waiting for another question, that we also don't want to discourage clubs though that are interested in hosting national championships to connect with us, because whether it's for next season, which we still need some host sites for, or 25, 26, 27, we'd like to get well out in front of that. I killed the room with that question, I think, Jenna and Brett. Emma, is there an RFP that could be shared with local sports commissions for national events? Yeah, Emma, there is. And certainly that's a great angle to take. And I know you're in Atlanta, and, frankly, having an event in a new market like that in a major metro would be exciting. So I'll get that to you directly as soon as I can. So Yeah, we have had good luck with local sports commissions. The Denver Sports Commission supported our nationals at the Denver Coliseum. You know, and we've had outreach. Whenever we do a championship, we've had outreach to local sports commissions, local CVBs. And that's obviously a really good avenue to make those events more economically feasible for the venue and for us, frankly. And I'll tell you, ideally, what we'd love for our men's and women's nationals, for instance, is to have the 3,000 and 4,000 seat arenas is a really good size for us. It's more difficult in major markets, but I don't want anybody to think you need a 10,000 seat arena to host our nationals. We're probably better off in 2,000 to 4,000 seat arenas. Ryan Olson asks, how's the CEO recruitment process? Understanding your hat is in the ring. Yes, I did apply for the position. I'm not exactly sure how the recruitment process is going, apart from the fact that I've been interviewed once by the search firm. I don't have any visibility into it other than that. So, but yeah, I would like the job. I'm applying for the job, but I'll let Brett handle the recruitment process.
Yeah, sure. So we had dozens, plural, of candidates for the CEO position. We're really excited by the different experiences and qualifications of the people who've applied. The search committee just met with the search firm earlier this week and narrowed down maybe to a dozen or so people that are going to be going through a next set of interviews. We hope to conclude the process at the in-person spring board meeting, which is going to be at the end of April in Eagan, Minnesota, is where the board's going to meet in person for the first time since last year. And we'll be conducting in-person interviews with the finalists at that time. So hopefully we'll pop some white smoke at some point that last weekend and announce who's going to be leading USA Curling into the future. And, you know, in the meantime, we're really thrilled with the job that Dean's been doing. And like I said, also just really excited by the types of people that have applied to lead the organization moving forward.
Thanks, Brett. Well, I'm waiting to see if there's another question. Maybe I'll touch on a couple of other things. Somebody asked how many, that Bill Stopero over my shoulder. Sorry, he's here coaching his daughter at the Club Nationals. Somebody asked how many former or GNCC clubs are not members of USA Curling, and I'm happy to tackle that question. I'll refer to some of my notes. I'm not going to say that I know every GNCC club. I'm not exactly sure what their exact membership roster is, but obviously two of the larger clubs that didn't join this year are Rochester and Potomac. So those were departures this year, and we'd love to have both of them back in the future, but understand their decision. Obviously, Peachtree in Atlanta hasn't been a member in some time. Neither is the Nashua Country Club. Belfast and Maine, Norfolk and Chesapeake are also not members this year, and Utica, which also is a club that hasn't been a member in a number of years. So that does give you some idea of some of the clubs, or most of the larger clubs. Doesn't include some of the arena clubs, but those are some of the larger clubs in the former GNCC. On the plus side, Charlotte Curling Association, Triangle, Nutmeg, Plainfield, Atlanta, Schenectady, Ardsley, Albany, and Philadelphia, and I could go on from there. Are all at-large members this year. A number of them participate in the at-large playdown. So we appreciate and are grateful for their membership this year. Ryan asks, how does USA Curling determine which events get curling stadium coverage? Really a question of resources, Ryan. As I've said, when I was director of development, we will stream as many championships as resources allow. So within our budget constraints, it was decided that we could do 3 well. And obviously we want to feature 2 world leading events in men's and women's and mixed doubles, and then our other important world leading event and one that's important for the growth of the game is our junior men's and junior women's nationals. So it's decided that those 3 were the ones that would get curling stadium coverage. That doesn't mean, for instance, this week in a smaller level, we partnered here with the Wausau Curling Club, and they have a cable access provider who's doing 1 feature game per draw. So that's been good to have. It's not the scope of curling stadium coverage, but we appreciate it. And we've partnered with them to make that happen. But yeah, look, we'd love to have every national championship streamed. It's just a matter of resources to get there and do that.
Well, I think thanks to the folks at the Seattle Granite Club, folks in Bowling Green, and including the college students that attended nationals that really hooked up the Bowling Green Club, and now they were able to stream all 4 sheets of the college nationals, and we'll be able to go moving forward. They made the students came and made a huge improvement to that club. So I think most clubs, as best they're able, are streaming. It's great.
When we were in Kalamazoo for the mixed doubles nationals, they already had curling stadium in their club, the stream within their club, so that made that setup easier, certainly easier than the Denver Coliseum. So we're appreciative that they had it. Also very appreciative of the Kalamazoo Curling Club for hosting that event on relatively short notice and really doing a great job. And thanks to the commitment of their members and their Marcus Gleaton and John Beebe at the club, just want to express how grateful we were to them. And if you didn't see my email, I also expressed how grateful we are to all our host clubs and the Denver curling community, which this year has been tremendous. They provided a lot of support at our men's and women's nationals. It was definitely appreciated. And then, of course, Seattle, Bowling Green, all the clubs we have lined up to host this year have been really great partners. And we're doing our best to be great partners to them. I think this may be my father was a club president of a lot of clubs, almost every club he was a member of. And I'll quickly tell this story for anyone who was on a curling club board. In pre-Zoom days, what he told me when I became club president at Plainfield, he said, if you want to get people to attend your annual meeting, put something controversial on the agenda. So I guess considering the question so far, we should have put something more controversial on here, but I'm happy to answer any other questions. Anybody? Here we go. Michael Patrick, you mentioned regarding arenas holding just a few thousand capacity, seating and U.S. curling, aware that Sacred Heart University just opened a state-of-the-art hockey room arena. Is this a venue USA Curling might consider for an upcoming event? Yeah, absolutely, Michael. Twin Cities are challenging, I will say, because that state happens to, I know Sacred Heart's in Connecticut, but it's challenging with college arenas because they have commitments to their college teams. I was just on a call with the folks in Colorado Springs, their visitors group. And obviously with the USOPC in Colorado Springs, we have a little extra clout maybe there, but Colorado College also has a 3,000 seat arena that's great. I read about the Sacred Heart University arena. It sounds awesome. The challenge will be getting the venue at that time of year, which can be challenging. It's certainly challenging with Twin Cities arenas, which we've talked to as well. The more, hockey is probably always going to come before curling in some of these venues. We have to make sure that we can make the case that curling is a great event for arenas. We'll continue to do that. Yeah, that Sacred Heart arena looks great. Just so anybody on this call knows, I'm happy to take any suggestions on arena venues. We have covered a lot of them. We know most of them, but if somebody has a suggestion, feel free to email it to me. A lot of these things happen on personal relationships. We've talked again to Iceworks and outside of Philadelphia has hosted nationals twice, but not in some time. They have some interest, maybe not for next year, but 25, 26. We're also going to, evaluate every site based on certain criteria. So, but all venues are being considered. Again, this goes back to this idea that we would really love to have, we're not just going to stop at, we have venues for next year. We need to work at championship venues for the next 3 years. Michael, have you been to the Sacred Heart, the arena at Sacred Heart? Oh, Ryan Olson asked, with the Columbia gear being sold online, is there going to be a one-stop place to buy USA Curling in items in years past? It's been all over the map, including on USA Curling site and Shields. Ryan, I'll tell you, I agree with you. We are going to launch a new site on the store. It's a new store on the site. And that's probably in the next couple of weeks. The only reason we haven't launched it yet is we made a wholesale order with Columbia for USA Curling branded merchandise, took it to Denver, did great in Denver with it, did really well in Kalamazoo with it. We're selling a little bit here that we were able to get here to the Club National. We're selling some, but that's all going to be on our site. We created our own Shopify store. And you're right, in the past, there's been, it's been through other vendors where we just get a percentage margin. We're operating now more like a true retailer where we're buying wholesale and reselling. So far that's been really successful, and I appreciated how much people have been enthusiastic about the gear we have, and we'll continue to add items. Before we really launched the online store, we just wanted to make sure we could fulfill orders. And that should be in place in a couple of weeks. Has anybody bought any of the Columbia merchandise at an event? Well, it's 2:29. Well, wait for maybe a couple more questions. I will say, I want to add, and I think Brett would echo this, is that I really do appreciate it. It's not just saying it to be kind. I think the ad hoc committee on governance is really doing great work. Brett and I are ex officio members of the committee, which means we're essentially observers and answering some questions when they might have them. But they are really leaning into it. They're all volunteers. And I'm excited about the directions they'll go in. Nick Myers got the Columbia merch in Denver. Yeah, we actually had a pretty limited order for our first order, just to be conservative. We ordered the vest, the jacket, the quarter zips. I think going forward, we'll continue to add more things as we learn more about what merchandise is the most popular. But we also had caps and beanies. So. Well, just one other thing. I know, just to be clear, nobody has to be a USA Curling member to join these calls. I want to make sure that's clear. As most of you know, you weren't asked for a membership ID when you joined the call. So we open these up to anyone. And just as the ad hoc committee is made up of as members who are from clubs that aren't USA Curling member clubs at the moment. So we're happy to open this up to anyone who wants to attend. Well, this might be the shortest town hall ever. Brett, you won't even miss any of it.
Yeah, for those who know, I'm on my way to my club to play in a Bonspiel that someone got hurt, and I'm jumping in to sub in. So
Nice.
That's why I'm not on the video.
Which spiel is that, Brett?
Motown doubles.
Ah,
A open doubles format, which is I think it's great. I don't think everything has to be mixed.
yeah, just regular doubles. Carrie Dixon asked, will the ad hoc committee share the results of the survey and their suggestions before they go before the board for changes? I'm not exactly sure what their intent there is. I know they're going to weigh the results of the survey and wait and consider that input. I'm not, it's at some point it has to be approved by the members' assembly. So it would go through that normal process. So there will be a chance for everybody to weigh in on it, certainly. But I think, I don't want to speak for the committee, but I imagine they'll take the results of the survey and examine all the models they've been considering and see which model seems to be the best fit overall. Just so you all know, I mean, the board really didn't wanted this to be a governance, new look at governance from the members. So that's, we have a committee of 14, as I said, from clubs and regions of all sizes all over the country. So that's the intent of it. And I think they're, like I said, I think they're doing good work and I expect them to have good solutions. I'm going to give it's 2:34. So I'm going to give it just a few more minutes till 2:37 and I guess wrap it up then if there's no more questions. Has anybody on this call been to the Wausau Curling Club before? So Michael Hope asked, with the introduction of interest by folks in the past, as John Bon Jovi or the NFLers, does USA Curling have any leads on celebrities who might otherwise launch our sport closer to the limelight? It is disappointing that cornhole has become more popular in the country. Michael, I'll agree. I yell at the sky every time I see cornhole on ESPN, but there's some factors into why it's on, including just like pickleball. It has broader participation. That's one thing, but I certainly think our sport's a better television product. Now, that said, I'm not sure if celebrities will be the key to getting us on television. I think it's going to be proving a revenue model that will get us more television coverage. That said, we're always open to working if there's people who bring some celebrity. We keep our eye on that, and we'll certainly use them when it's appropriate. We have to be, I'm always conscious of not making our sport feel like a novelty either. I'm not actually a believer that all publicity is good publicity. So we want to be conscious of that. I will say this about the NFLers, Jared Allen, who competed at the men's nationals this year, was really committed to the game. I've told him in the past that when they first came on, I was hoping they would lose every game when he was playing with 3 NFLers, because I believe in the skill of our athletes. But he did everything we asked of him in Denver. He's always willing to promote the sport, and he didn't look out of place on the ice. So good for him. Question: Town Hall is a lot about competitive curling and TV. What is I'm going to clear this up real quick. It's actually, we're USA Curling because the lines as a USOPC NGB, it aligns with USA Basketball, USA Hockey, USA Triathlon, etc. So that's the USA Curling. We still are the United States Curling Association. It's our business registration. So we are the USCA doing business as USA Curling. So you can really use USCA if you like. In terms of club development, well, the last email that went out, I think, has some exciting things for club development, whether it's Sean's services, our head ice tech, Sean Olson, coming to clubs, whether it's the athlete engagement initiative, which will bring players to clubs, not just to teach competitive players, but to help players of all levels. And thanks to some funding we have from Bill Peskoff, there's no upfront cost to clubs for that. And I'd like to see clubs use those visits as a way to promote community engagement. So those are just two things we're doing. In addition, we continue to provide our instructor clinics and courses. Coaching certification is something we're developing this off season. It's long overdue. We're working on coaching pathways, which I think can be valuable at the club level as well. I would use this opportunity too to ask people on the call. I like to do this, and that's, what would you like to see USA Curling do more of on that front of club development? So if you have thoughts on that, things we aren't doing right now, I'd love to hear the ideas, to be honest. Lisa Rudolph says, what do we have to do to make it more appealing from a revenue standpoint? Well, it's kind of an unproven model, right? To say, we have to make a case for it that people will watch it, which we can make a case for through the Olympics. But my experience with television is that they're among the most conservative business people. They want to, just like movie studios are only making Marvel movies these days, they do tend to be risk averse. And a lot of the coverage you see, whether it's cornhole or tech ball, what happens with a lot of those associations in sports is they go and actually pay for the coverage up front. So take on significant financial risk, pay for the broadcast, pay for the production, and then sell the sponsorship. So that's how a lot of that works when you see other sports on television. There's probably the kind of financial risk that is a little frightening for our organization at the moment, but that's why you see a lot of those on. Live Golf, as Ryan points out, Live Golf is an example. They don't have a network deal, but they're paying Fox to broadcast their events. As we all know, Live Golf has deeper pockets than, or CW, is that what you're on, Ryan? I thought it was Fox, but even worse, actually, CW. But obviously, we don't have the revenue stream of Live Golf. But that's why you see a lot of those events, and even the Canadian events. That's how Curling Canada operates. They pay TSN for the production, and then they sell the ad time and generate revenue that way. And I don't think this organization or the board would not consider that at some point, but there certainly has to be some safeguards built into that for us.
Well, Dean, I'm pretty sure you would answer any question that's thrown at you. And so if the questions are about TV and high performance, that's the questions you're going to answer. And if they're about grassroots, those are the questions you'd address. So.
Was that a question for me, Brett? I'm not sure. Was there another
no,
question?
I'm just responding to, why are we only talking about certain topics?
Oh, right.
Because those are the ones that,
yeah.
that are asked.
It came up. Yes, agreed. I do want everybody to know that, the majority of my time and a big chunk of our staff time, like Jenna Brucheski on now, is focused on club development. If anybody's dealt with our membership services group this year with Jenna and Gabby Takis, we're trying to be a more customer-centric, customer-focused organization. And I would say in the fall and throughout the winter, that team has been one of our best things at USA Curling, because we have the Sport 80 platform. It's far from perfect. We're still working to make that as good as it can be, but our team is always happy to help with those problems, and always happy to have new ideas on what we can do for clubs. We do have programs too, like the Stone financing program. I think Superior, the club in Superior, just reached out about getting a quote for that. We have a number of clubs throughout the country who've taken advantage of that. So there was a question: support could ways to increase club membership. I agree. We do have a 1 hour learn to curl guide. We have a junior curling program guide that we share with clubs. Those will be more widely available shortly. We also have an arena club working group that I'm a part of. It's led with, that is some of our most dedicated arena curlers from across the country. We've got people from Silicon Valley to, St. Louis. So I'm in those meetings regularly where we talk a lot about with them about how to two things: make their arena club setting as good as possible, and also we share documents from clubs that have made the move from an arena setting to a dedicated club. If you are an arena club and you want those now, certainly reach out to us. We can provide those, but they will be widely available pretty soon here. Development programs that teach individuals to become better curlers. That's a big crux of the athlete engagement initiative. It's using our players who certainly have a knowledge of the game that is more than the average curler, and we want to get them out into clubs, spreading that information and their knowledge, and also our training our level 1 instructors to be better teachers. Actually, thanks to Matt Shiner and Michael Barr and Barbara Feist in Portland, Oregon, and Don Wade out of Broomstones, we've revised our level 1 instructor deck. We've worked with para athletes to better integrate the wheelchair and adaptive teaching into that level 1 certification. So I think it's a better deck for instructors to use now. Terry, what club do you curl at, actually, just while you're here? Got it. Chicago Curling Club. All right, it's 2:44. I said 2:39, but we got a few more questions. So I'll go a couple more minutes and then we'll try to wrap this up, and I'll get back to watching curling here at the Club Nationals. Things I will add just on Sean Olson's ice technician consulting services. There is a fee for clubs for those. And one of the things one reason we have a fee for that is Sean's services have value. We don't have an underwriter to send Sean out and cover those expenses that are involved with him going out. But also, I know there are other ice technicians out there, good ones, who offer consulting services at clubs, and we don't want to offer ours at a price that is unfair to them. So, again, I think as a national governing body, we have the responsibility to provide services and also help build the ecosystem. Ryan asks, is there a fee for the Ice Tech Zoom session? No, there's no fees for the meetings with Sean. If you want to just set up a half-hour call with him with your Ice Tech, we can arrange that. We also have, I don't know how many of you know Laura and Rich from out in Portland, Oregon. If you want something interesting, look up the Portland, Oregon, the Evergreen Curling Club Ice Tech crew. It's probably 50% women, which is exciting. And Lauren is also a member of the Arena Club Working Group because she started curling in Arena Club, and she's one of the top members on Sean's Nationals crew. So she is providing ice insight as well. All right, well, I'm going to shut it down here now and say thanks everybody for joining us. Again, if you need to contact us, email is always the best first way to get in touch with any of us. And if you go on the staff page, we have all our emails there. But would love to hear from anybody about anything, and appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. And as I said in Denver and Kalamazoo and here in Wausau, I have been humbled by the willingness of curlers to devote themselves to improve the game and our organization. So appreciate all of you as well. Thanks, everybody.